A couple of months ago now, I covered the entirety of the core Johnnie Walker blended Scotch whisky range, and the 18-year-old, you'll notice, is conspicuously absent now. The original review that I put up was, I think, scathing is the fairest way to put it, and I want to revisit it. So I've taken the old video down because it doesn't really do anything. It was just a bit of a cheap shot at it. But to recap, I was easily the least impressed by this for a number of factors. But I don't want to go in with like the full bias. So I'm trying to kind of like give it a second chance, as it were. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to revisit this. The Johnnie Walker 18 used to be the Platinum label. Really, no. Do you know, there was a ridiculous marketing reason as to why they changed it. I don't care, to be honest. It's nice to see an age statement, really, isn't it? So, do you know what? We'll go with it. It's an 18-year-old. That's nice. All 18-year-old whiskey in here. I have not pre-researched all of the various different malts in there. Diageo staples. I'd imagine there's a bit of Klein-Leach in here. So it's a gold colour. As with all the Johnnie Walkers, 40% chill filtered colouring. So there's very little point in. Oh god, it's quite thin. Okay, right. So on the nose, yeah. Even that, right, that bottle's been open for a couple of months, so it's had a chance to air. And even then, there's still a fair bit of like just an rough ethanol thing on the nose. Which again, I remind you, this is supposed to be one of their premium products. Like, this is supposed to be the stuff that you show off with. And the first thing I'm getting is paint stripper. So that's not a good start. Once you get past that, there is a bit of kind of like a buttery caramel kind of a thing. And maybe a little bit of like just sort of Warburton's toast. Yeah, I think one of my biggest complaints about it originally was that there is very little going on in the nose. I think at the time I said there was basically nothing, but again, I think I was in a bad mood with it. There is something, but it's quite flat. It's nothing interesting. Alright, well, let's give it a sip. Let's find out if, you know, I've suddenly fallen in love with it. It's still fucking rough. It's still super fucking rough, actually. Yeah, it's just this sharp ethanol thing that kind of overrides it. If there is some flavour there, it's struggling to get through. It's a bit like a stewed plums thing at the start. Goes a little bit vanilla-y in the middle, and then it just kind of gets overridden by this pretty nasty alcohol burn. And it just kind of stings your tongue. It's not a pleasant sensation. It's not a nice drinking sensation. And the flavours that you get up front do not make up for that really quite unpleasant and lingering finish. But we're going to add some water. Now, this is already 40%, so it shouldn't need it, really, but we're going to do it. The nose has gone a bit plasticky. It's close to like Play-Doh now. I'm recording this on my birthday, and this is what I do to myself. You're welcome. Okay, it's a bit better. It's a bit better. There's like a mellow Irish butter kind of a flavour, like rice pudding kind of a thing. Really mellow, subtle flavours. Do you know, one of the reasons why you would buy an 18-year-old whiskey is because it's had 18 years in a cask, and you expect that cask to have done something in that near enough makes no difference 2 decades. This hasn't. It's just really, it's almost like a blank piece of paper. I mean, the rest of the line, for all their various flaws, and there were plenty, they at least had an individual characteristic. The character of this is just beige. There's just nothing. I can't really reassess it because my thoughts on it have not changed. Because it has not changed. It is unremarkable. Especially for, I think one of the things I'm getting hung up about is that this is about 60 quid a bottle. Not for the miniature, but for like a full-size bottle. For £60, I expect some pretty good liquid. You can get some truly fantastic liquid for that. You can get some truly fantastic liquid for less than that. So why am I shelling that out for some mediocre whiskey, at best? mediocre whiskey that's been watered down, that's been coloured, that's been stripped of esters and oils. Why am I paying that money? Is it because yeah, all right, it's a bit of a bargain for an 18-year-old if you think of it that way. If you think of it in terms purely of the age statement, it's one of the cheapest you can get. All right, you got me on that. But is there much of a point if the liquid itself is terrible? Obviously, you know, it's a prestige thing, isn't it? It's, hey, I can look like a baller and save a bit of money at the same time. But if you're going to do that, I'd go with the Gold Reserve. I would, because it's just better. It is just better. Or even better, I'd go with the Green Label, because again, it is better. It's just bland and dull. I have seen a lot of people be very complimentary to this whiskey. And do you know what I've tried? I've given this more of a shot than I've given the other whiskies in the range, because it stood out as being the worst. And you've got to bear in mind, I tried the Red Label with that. Even the Red Label had more sort of redeeming features. It at least had more character to it. It might have been super rough around the edges, but it still at least had some character. This is just blank. It's like there's nothing going on, almost. I've teased a couple of flavours out of it, but they're at best dull flavours. Anyway, that's my revisit of the Johnnie Walker 18-year-old. I still would not recommend buying it. There'll be my scores down in the description below. To be honest, I don't think I'll be changing them from last time, so it'll probably just be a copy and paste job, to be fair. Let me know down below, have you tried the Johnnie Walker 18? Do you completely disagree? Do you think it's one of the better ones in the range? Do you have tasting notes that I'm not getting? Let me know down below. Thumb this video if you enjoyed it, and do join me next time where I'll be drinking something else.